You know, I'm not even mad at you about that. I do that on our sports pod. Take warning, all things sports comes out weekly. I do that literally every time. Preston has tried to figure out a way to keep me from screwing up the intro for months, and he can't figure it out. He mutes things. He does other things. It's still like you'll hear me at the beginning of the intro somewhere.
I mean, I was literally muted on my end.
No, I heard you talking.
Yeah, I have a little button on my mixer
Uh-huh.
that mutes me, and I was already muted. But then to answer you, I would unmute myself, answer you, and then you would mute me on that end. I'd unmute myself and then go from there.
Man, this is a great intro.
You shut the fuck up, Greg.
Hey,
Okay.
everybody, welcome to Take Warning. Is that better?
Hey, Duper.
To
Greg
be
now doesn't
seen.
talk.
I'm to be seen, not heard. That's what Lee told me.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Who told you that?
You told me to shut the F up.
No, Greg, I kind of agree with him. You got a face for radio, bud.
I agree. I totally agree for that. Dude, so Rick, so you were not on an episode recently, and
I know I'm bummed I missed
we
it.
totally read on that podcast. Go back and check it out, how you quit the podcast because you hated us so much. But yet you're back for this episode, man. So do you want to tell us kind of like
I
what
was just back
happened?
for the
Like,
other episodes that we released.
what's that?
But
What?
okay, so I'm going to tell you what happened.
Can't wait.
I have to tell you guys hard truth. Right before we were about to record, I got the call.
Natalie Portman?
I got a
God
text
damn it.
message. I'm pretty sure it was her. Pretty sure it was her. I couldn't, it was a number that wasn't in my phone. And,
Was it somebody with an Indian accent, like
all I got
India
was,
country?
Hey, how you doing? And I was like, wrong number. And they're like, oops, I'm sorry. And I was like, Natalie? And they were like,
And there's a giggle. There's a
they
giggle.
were
right?
like, yeah. And then they sent back WYD. And I said, oh, nothing.
Did they ask ASL too?
No, they just asked like, how are you? And I was like, I'm good. I knew this wouldn't take long for you to reach out to me.
Does she
And,
ask for money?
I mean, it doesn't matter if she asked for money.
I'll send you a check for
tell you guys about all my
60,000 if you send me
financial-
$5,000 back.
Right,
You
right.
keep the rest.
It
I
turns out that
Rick.
she made it from Paris to Boston Logan, right? She was at Logan Airport,
Mhm.
and somebody had stolen her purse, and her luggage got trapped there, and she needed a small boost to get that stuff released. But because she's Natalie Portman, I knew that if I gave her $1,000 right now to get her stuff out of impound and get her stuff, she'd be able to fly back to LA and pay me back tenfold, and the magnetism would start. So yeah, Duper, she might ask for a little bit of money. That doesn't
You're
make
on your
any-
way, Rick.
It's a small price for love, right?
I have not heard her since the Zelle went through though. Like, I haven't heard from her at all. So I'm waiting, but yeah, that's what happened. I missed the show for that. I apologize, but it was intense. It's like I didn't expect it to happen so fast. Thank you.
I mean, let's just all hope and pray she's in a safe space.
I had to explain this to my wife too, and that was awkward. That took another hour. or so.
I want to hear that story. How did that go?
Yeah.
Hey, babe, I'm gonna send $1,000 to Natalie Portman.
and her rebuttal.
I'm just gonna ride this stupid shit out.
Yeah.
I said okay.
That's what she said.
Yeah. She's like, I'll just ride this stupid shit out. Do whatever you think is right, but this is.
Are you
dumb.
sure it said like Natalie Portman and like not Natalie Portman? You
Well,
know,
It did
because
say
those
Portman.
scammers can kind
Does
of
that
get
matter?
tricky like that. You know.
Well, I mean, the way there was a U when she typed out port, so that was kind of weird, like poor man. But
Mm.
I thought maybe it was just because she was freaking out. She was using something. Clearly.
Obviously.
She doesn't have her luggage,
Yeah. Right.
She,
Right.
She needs to invest in Apple AirTags. I kept telling her that. Like, you need to look at the AirTags. They're brilliant. But I'm sure with the $1,000 that I gave her, she'll at least buy one or two to throw in her luggage to get back here to LA, and
Huh.
you know where things are going. So I might not be on the show after this.
Yeah.
I can't.
Wait, you're gonna quit the podcast?
I might not have time.
What are you gonna be doing?
Striking with her for SAG-AFTRA.
Oh, Lord.
My girl needs to make money.
Hey, while you're there, can you do me a favor?
What I missed?
I need you, okay, to find the Obama children.
Yes. Sasha
the Obama
Malia.
children are
No, no,
in
no, no,
SAG
no.
AFTRA?
Just go back, listen to the conspiracy episode. It'll explain everything. But it is important that we need to know if Sasha and Malia are at the
Right. And
Yeah,
if you're
and I
going,
mean, I don't know when I'm supposed to meet her there, so the strike might be over. Who knows what's going to happen? But I haven't heard from her since.
No, no,
since
no,
last
no.
night.
Don't wait for the strike to end. This is important.
so
Greg,
imperative
you work in
that this
transportation
happens.
at a bus station. I don't know if you know anything about air travel, but how long does it take to get from Boston to LA?
I think it's about a 3.5 hour flight.
That's it to go across the country?
Well,
From
from Boston,
Boston?
maybe 4.
Probably more than that. It's like
Massachusetts.
it's almost 4 hours just to go to Houston.
To go to New
Nah.
Orleans, it was 4.5 hours.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Nah.
I'm gonna guess 6 hours, 6.5 hours.
All right, so 6.5 hours plus the 18 that I didn't hear from her. Maybe she just got caught up getting a rental car to get to the house. I'm just trying to put the timeline together why I haven't heard from her. And I mean, I sent like 1,000 texts. I'm not.
You
gonna
should
lie.
go to the you should go to the SAG after strike and look for her, see if she's there.
I could.
And while you're
I'll be
there,
like Natalie. See what they do.
All right, so 6 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh.
I was off by 5 minutes. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, Greg was he was thinking in bus time.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Buses
Oh, I
go
thought you.
way
Oh, when you
faster.
said LA, I thought you meant Louisiana. My bad.
Buses are
Sorry.
apparently much faster.
Much
than-
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of travel, so
He's
did
taking-
you guys
he's taking
see
that magic school bus?
So the lady who lost her shit on the airplane,
Yeah,
thinking
Tiffany
that the
Gomez.
person,
A
Tiffany,
little
I
bit
have-
of
no, I have
little bit
not
of
seen any of
tasty over
this.
there. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah. So she actually went on Twitter and did like about, I think, like a 2-minute video apologizing for her actions.
2 minutes and 13 seconds.
You
Oh.
haven't seen any of it, but you
Yeah,
know
you
the
haven't seen
exact
any of it at all.
moment it ended.
Dude, what
I
was she
think we
wearing?
found Duper's Portman.
Yeah. No,
Little bit of
dude,
thirst
please
trap for
continue.
you,
Yeah,
I think.
No. I want to hear your question about it.
No. So I was gonna say, yeah. So, do you think her apology was legitimate, and do you think that the internet can move on from bullying her and
that motherfucker ain't real.
that
That video ain't real. That ain't her. It's not her.
Oh
Mm.
my
Full
god.
video.
There's
Yeah.
a conspiracy saying that those are two different people.
They're
Yeah.
two different people. She does not
Okay.
look the same. So no, is the apology real? No, it's
So-
not real.
So, which one do you think looks better, the girl in the apology or the girl on the airplane?
Airplane.
Airplane.
Mm,
Yeah.
I think that So, where is that girl on the airplane then? If
Dude,
this isn't the same person.
The CIA obviously has her. Because the other thing, if you notice in the apology video, she never addresses what she was talking about. She apologizes to the children and to the passengers on the plane for saying that motherfucker. But she never says or addresses what she was referring to. She does not give any explanation. Why?
Does she have to though?
Because the CIA has her locked up in an underground basement and we'll never see her again. The actual Tiffany Gomez will never see again.
Mm. So, do you think this was like an AI generated apology then?
No, because if it was AI generated, then it would have looked like her.
But it could have been a deep fake.
Or a deep fake? Yeah.
Still, it would have looked like her. No, it's obviously
Mm.
what do you call that? A double, right? An impersonator.
Hmm.
Either way, at the end of the day, if that was in fact her, that was definitely written by some fucking lawyers. That was not her own apology.
Well, okay, so oh man, I don't want to break from my character here. But
On the video that you never saw, you have no knowledge of.
Yeah.
But Tiffany Gomez is, and they put her information out there. Like the New York
Yeah,
Post
shame
put
on
her
the media
house
for
out
that.
there. Or I don't know if it was the New York Post. I do know that they reposted it. It might have been the Daily Mail, but they put out her home, photographs of her home, and a link to her job and all kinds of stuff.
Did
But
they
she's
really?
she's a marketing executive. So this is kind of what she does is marketing and PR and marketing control, right? So she's just trying to get out there so then it doesn't impact her future earnings. That's all
Or
it is.
So, do you think that this apology was it good enough?
No, because it doesn't explain who that motherfucker was. No, like nobody cares about your apology about using like bad words on the plane. Nobody is.
Well, I don't think
for
it was
that.
as much about bad words as it was how delayed the flight was.
Don't even care about that. That inconvenienced 100 people. No, don't care about that. What we care about, the inquiring public needs to know.
If you're on that flight, you'd care about it.
Yeah, 100 people care about it. That's it. The rest
That's
of us,
more like probably like about close to 200.
the rest of
Oh,
us,
Greg, stop it.
the rest of us care about what was on that plane.
People.
No, that motherfucker was not real. She pointed back to him. She was very clear in her language. No, we didn't know. We didn't know what she saw and what made her think it wasn't real. That's what she needs to address.
Was she high?
It didn't look like it. It just sounded.
It didn't
looked
look like it. She was standing in the middle of a plane screaming, "That motherfucker right there!"
Yeah, but she wasn't
He's
like
not
slurring. She
real.
wasn't. I mean, she was when she was walking. She wasn't like fumbling over anything or stumbling. She wasn't like jittery. She was direct in her language.
She still could
I
have been
don't
high.
think she was intoxicated.
She was obviously emotionally distraught because
Yes.
she saw something that's
Mushrooms
not
make
real.
you see some shit, man.
If you see something and you're sober, 100% non-impaired, and you see some reptilian overlord on the back of the plane, dude, you would sound like that too.
Would I?
Yes, 100%.
Nah,
I've heard high
I
pitched.
I'd ride it out. Have you?
So, no, that apology was complete garbage. We need to know
Does
what
she?
actually happened.
Is she like married, kids, family, anything
No,
like that?
Single.
Hey,
Okay.
you notice how we were talking about Natalie Portman and all of a sudden Rick got another phone call?
Yeah, right.
And look how excited he is right
He
now.
is really
He is
happy.
so happy right now.
Yeah.
She must have found her luggage, huh?
Yeah. She called
He's
him
like,
back.
yes, I'll send you $5,000 right now. I understand. You must have needs. You need to eat, right? You probably haven't eaten anything in days, you poor thing.
She's like, can you pay for my cab ride back to my mansion?
And she obviously it's Natalie Portman, so she doesn't eat McDonald's. She needs 5-star restaurant food.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So
it's
gonna be
Chanel
pricey.
commercials
And then
stuff.
Rick is getting excited. He's like, "Oh, I went to culinary school. I can make you a 5-star meal." Oh,
What I
welcome
missed?
back,
So Rick, welcome back. Why were you so happy on the phone right now?
I got really excited. I thought I tried calling a number. I thought, you know what? Fuck it. Right now is the time. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just try and call a
Yeah.
number.
Okay.
Got excited. That was just me leaving. I don't want to call it a desperate voice. You know. Now I'm kind of concerned about my money. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, did you send her more money?
No, I mean, I don't want to talk about that either. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I
that's
thought
good.
maybe the first transaction didn't go through, so I sent a little bit more just to see what happens.
And then
But
he
I-
wasn't
I'm
sure if
not
the second
hearing-
one went through.
I don't know. It's okay.
Like there's another big story out there that has a lot of outstanding questions right now, right? So the Hawaiian wildfires happen out there in Maui, and it's terrible, right? It's the worst, it's second worst modern day fire in the United States. The death toll continues.
Real quick,
to
if you
rise.
guys want to, donate and show your support on that, make sure you're, doing it through legit donation sites. Unfortunately, scammers like to, take advantage of these situations. So, if you go to like websites like the Red Cross, they can show you like legitimate resources to where you can actually
and it'll
donate to
all-
support.
It'll all point you back to some government entity somewhere. Make sure you donate when it's a government entity for sure.
Sorry,
Yeah.
dude. Just wanted to put
No,
that out
that's,
there
that's
first.
good.
It was
That's solid.
But I
sarcasm
do
there.
think that you need to be, supportive. Support. These are Americans. These are people with a beautiful culture. And
Do Hawaiians consider themselves Americans?
no,
I feel like they just consider themselves Hawaiians.
Well, I mean,
No,
that's
they
not
do.
true.
They're very
That's not
patriotic.
true. Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
know? I didn't know this, but the largest population of Hawaiians outside of the islands themselves is
Nevada.
Southern California.
Nevada.
Southern
Probably
California.
Vegas. Vegas. I mean, dude, they call Vegas the ninth island, bro.
I
mean,
keep
come
saying
on.
it. It's Southern California. I literally heard this.
Yeah,
today.
Nevada.
Oh
Nevada.
my
So
God, every time you say literally, it reminds me of Parks and Rec.
god! Literally.
The show, yes.
so what do you guys think caused this wildfire and what made it so extreme?
Jewish lasers.
What?
I'm happy I didn't say that because
So
that's
there is a
terrible.
conspiracy theory
first
out
off.
there about a laser, right?
Whoa,
They're
whoa,
like,
whoa. But just the Chinese laser, or are we talking the Jewish laser? Because
No, the
I
Jewish
have not
laser.
heard this one. What is
What's
this
the
one?
difference between a Jewish laser and a Chinese
Dude,
laser?
seriously, Rick, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene's number, right?
Oh, that's right.
Can you call
I
her?
forgot about it. Okay.
Okay,
There it is.
okay.
So you're saying it was an American hit by accident?
Me?
Yeah.
No, it was a Jewish laser. What does that have to do with the
explain me-
Americans?
Are you saying the Israelites did it?
No.
Then what are you even saying?
That it was a fucking Jewish laser.
Yeah, that
I've
doesn't
said
mean
it
anything.
17 times now.
Okay, so let's just move past
Oh.
that. Laser is the key word there.
Right,
There's
But what
stupid
group?
conspiracy theories out there.
What group of Jewish people did this, Lee?
The Jews.
All of them?
So Lee, you're
Like, that
Jewish.
sounds
So you're
really
saying
bad.
you did this?
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
Oh my
Lee is
God.
Jewish, so maybe he has inside information here.
I mean, just hear me out here.
So
I don't know. if
what
we
is the
should.
difference between a Jewish laser
I just
and
wanted
any
to say
other
Jewish
laser?
lasers. Okay, it was almost like how I was 100% on everything for a certain episode. I just wanted to say that it's Jewish lasers for everything right now. Stop fucking questioning me and just go with it.
Well,
I-
I mean,
no,
are
I
Jewish
cannot.
lasers like kosher?
They're just really
Yeah,
really
there's
cheap to
zero
make.
bacon fat in a Jewish laser,
Super cheap to make.
unlike the fucking Chinese. Those weirdos.
Lee,
Whoa.
Rick, what is the Chinese laser that you were talking about?
I didn't say Chinese.
Oh
Yes, you
yeah,
did.
I added that. No, I added that.
I was
to
the
be
same.
fair.
Yeah, Dupe,
So-
you're the one
I
who said Chinese
laser.
laser.
I'm coming back again, just like Southern California. I said fucking laser. That's it.
So where is this laser coming from, Rick?
China.
See, I did spoil because Rick and I did talk about this off the podcast.
Yeah, I know. He's gonna spoil everything we talked about. So real talk. This is literally what I told Duper last night when we were talking about this. My issue right now is I haven't seen a widely reported cause of the fire. We know the fire was terrible. We know the fire hurt a lot of people. We know the aftermath of it, and we've heard some complaints about the reaction by the local government there to be able to give the warnings. We hear all of those stories. I actually, after we talked, Duper, I went and looked, right? I was looking for a cause. Tell me what caused this fire outside of the conspiracies, because there's some interesting ones out there. What would somebody say? And just yesterday, one random, like in the middle of Pennsylvania newspaper put an article out there saying that they had heard that potentially the high winds from the hurricane 1,000 miles away blew a tree into a power line, which knocked the power line over and started the whole fire that erupted over half the island. I don't believe that, because I keep in my mind, and Greg, you've been there. I haven't been there yet, but Hawaii.
I haven't been
is
to Maui.
tropical. Yeah, but I mean, they're tropical fucking islands, right? Everything's lush and green and wet and moist, and there's humidity and there's rain all the time, and there's
And this
you know.
is hurricane season, right? So you would think most things would be wet during this time of the year over
how
there.
is it so dry and brittle that it's a California fire on an island? Like I'm having a hard time understanding that. Maybe because we live in California, and I know what a wildfire looks like because they happen here every year, and it's because it's very
Well,
dry
you,
and very.
you also got to remember too, man, it's not all mountainous and all lush. You know, the islands of Hawaii are very dense areas, right? Like, yeah, there's a lot of different vegetation, and there's also a lot of mountains, you know, volcanoes and the terrain that they all cause and whatever, but they're also a very dense area, right? I mean, there's only so many people you can put on an island, right? And so density obviously played a huge impact on the death toll and the reason why this fire spread so quickly, right? Like, it wasn't in the mountains of California, right? I mean, this was in a small, densely packed, you know, place. And the minute it takes just one building or one vehicle or whatever, it's just going to literally spread, right? And the resources on that island obviously aren't as vast as us that we have here on the mainland too. So that also plays a contributing factor. Now, what caused it, I have no idea, but were those reasons that led to the devastation? Yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, but again, we're talking about aftermath. I'm trying to figure out what sparked it. Was this an intentional fire? Was this truly an act of God? But I mean, how? And that's my
And
part.
another thing that adds to it being intentional and leading into the conspiracy theories is that Hawaii has a very sound infrastructure of sirens all throughout the island. So whenever there's any kind of emergency on the islands, these sirens are supposed to go off to notify all the residents that something's happening. The sirens never went off. They got text messages and they got the warning systems, and many people just got a neighbor knocking on the door telling them that we need to evacuate.
Well, it was 3 in
There's-
the morning.
There's rumors on the internet and in news reports saying that, I mean, prior to the fire getting completely out of control, the fire department was just saying stay in place, shelter in place, just stay home. There was no warning system from the sirens. Why did that never go off in this situation on that island?
Right. But yet the sirens go off on a false alarm attack when they thought that they were having
Yeah,
missile
right.
attacks
Nuclear
from
ones, yeah.
Russia, right? Was it Russia?
Russia
or
or North
China?
Korea?
North Korea. It was North Korea.
North Korea,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, that's a
fun
very
fact,
valid point, right?
Greg, speaking of that, if you just got a Meta Quest, there's actually it's like an immersive experience, but it's a documentary that was made about that situation on the islands, and you can actually watch it from the beginning to the end of that situation on what happened, how the people reacted, and it's really interesting. But yeah, that was a North Korean missile is what they thought it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, I
So-
mean, lightning could have caused it too.
I'm reading right now how, because of all the winds that were taking place, with wind speeds between 60 miles per hour and gusts all the way up to 81 miles per hour
Mhm.
across that part of the island, means that fire can travel 1 mile every minute.
That wind was there a month ago with a tropical storm, harder wind.
Right. But that wind was there when a fire wasn't, right? But now the wind was there with the fire. So if I'm just trying to say, like, if fire's traveling at that rate,
Yeah.
what alarm system do you think is going to be effective?
Well, if I'm
Well,
5 miles away, you
It
get
doesn't.
5
The
minutes.
sirens can go off, so then people can at least attempt. You can't just give in the nihilism and just give up there, right?
Oh no,
Like, you
I
gotta-
was just asking.
Yeah, you got to make.
And
an
even
attempt to
even
save
5
people.
miles away, if something is traveling at 1 mile every minute, you got 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes to get out of there, and
Right.
you're not notified until you have 1 minute to get out of there. What good does that do you?
Dude,
Get
that's
into
1
the
minute.
water.
Then that's 1 more minute than you would have had.
Exactly.
And if that saves 1 or 2 or 1,000 lives, it's worth every one of them, right? So yeah, you sound those alarms, you get those
Yeah,
sirens
I think the
going.
death toll's up to what, 90 now?
It's 100.
It was 99 last I saw it, and then it was
101 as
rising.
of today.
There was like 1,000 people still missing, and they can't identify some of these bones because they're just so burnt. I heard one report that some bodies are just ashes, right? They're going to pick people up and they're just
Just
Ashes.
ashes.
like
Yeah,
they're
it's
just gone.
horrible.
It was that
So-
hot. These flames were that
But how
hot.
did
the
the how
update
did the
right
how did
now-
it get that hot?
That's the question. That's where everybody
Well,
is like,
but-
how did it get so hot?
But you got to remember though too, right? Okay, you're in a think about all the hazardous materials you have in your house right now. Think about all the hazardous materials businesses have. Kitchens with grease, right?
Mhm.
Auto body shops with oil and flammable objects and stuff like that, right? Like it is no surprise that in a densely packed area such as Hawaii or anywhere, that, I mean, all it takes is just to have it start, and then once it starts, it's just going to keep going, right? And then everybody has enough hazmat in their house, from paint thinner to oil to WD-40 to whatever, right? And then, I mean, I think that happens in like an arson situation too, where like when fire investigators come out, when people like kill people and then they'll set a house on fire to try to cover up the bodies, same thing, right? So any one of those things can kind of contribute to temperature rising and things of that nature.
Here's
And
a
a natural gas too. If you explode like gas lines and stuff like that too, like absolutely.
So here's another thing that's leading to the conspiracy theories is that none of the celebrity homes have been reported to be damaged in this. And then there's reports that resorts and some big banks have been out there trying to buy this land up for some time so they can build resorts on that land. Now that all this is burnt to ash, these people have no home. They're not going to have, Joe Biden's $700 that he's sending to them is not going to be enough to rebuild their home. You're in a position where you have to sell your land and you have to move, right? So then that gives these banks and these big resort companies the ability to move into these onto this now vacant land and build up. Do you think that that's plausible, the fire was intentional, so these big mega corporations can move in and build on top of it?
I heard that too, but with so much devastation, it's going to take years to recover from that destination. If what they were looking for was land, you know, like there's better ways to go about it than, you know,
A resort you just build right over it, because a lot of that's just concrete, right? So all you need for that resort to be beautiful is
yeah, but everything surrounding it is still going to be burnt and ash and everything else, right? Who's going to want to
Yeah, but
visit a fucking resort that's surrounded by ash?
it's gonna take 5 to 10 years to get that back,
You know?
right? Well, to get the resorts built. So in that time, yeah, it's gonna regrow. It's not gonna be
I don't
charcoal
know.
anymore.
Like some of the fires that are still happening in California, like they still haven't grown back. You can still tell where, you know, wildfires happen and everything.
Yeah, but I mean, if you build the resort and then a little town around that, that covers up all the ash.
But this is
and
the
then-
entire island, dude. This
I-
isn't just,
I know, I get it.
you know,
Well,
this
it
isn't
was
like one small town.
it wasn't the entire island. It was
Well,
like
but it
because-
was a large portion of the island.
right, and most of it was off the coast, right? It wasn't like inland, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
It was Lahaina, and Lahaina was like the oldest area of the island. Something that I was thinking about when you kept talking about densely, and it's funny because I brought up an article so you guys could read it too. But they were talking about so many of the buildings were wood frame and very old. That's what created such a higher damage rate, because that is the oldest part of the island, right? So makes sense that you're going to have a bunch of old buildings, and they don't really need to change them because you're living on a tropical paradise. It's not like you need to get proper insulation or something.
Dude, and they're still going. It's one's
Yeah,
only
I'm-
85% contained, the other one's only 60% contained. That's crazy.
I'm still reading this whole like cremation thing. I'm confused. I'm like researching it.
So right now, it's still unclear, and authorities are saying the cause of the fire is under investigation as of now, and it's been almost a week. Yeah, 85% contained in Lahaina. There's another blaze known as the Upcountry Fire, and it's around 60% contained. That's what's happening right now, as of this recording. They're at 101 people dead. They brought in an extra morgue. I know California sent out 24 cadaver dogs to help because they're limited on resources. So they have cadaver dogs that just arrived recently. Oh, it's right there too. So we know that that's happening. They've gone through 32% of the search area, so it's real slow going, which sucks.
I think the investigation into the fire, I'm gonna give them some leeway on that, honestly, because I'd prefer them to thoroughly investigate it and actually find the reason, as opposed to just giving possibilities out there, right? Because possibilities, if they say it's one thing and then a week later they say it's something else, again, that's gonna lead to more conspiracy theories.
Oh, and getting back to this notification, as we're seeing this, the officials failed to activate the sirens and instead relied on a series of sometimes confusing social media posts. Meanwhile, residents faced power and cellular outages, so they weren't even getting the notices because the cell tower is getting burned down. There's no power. How are you going to get on the internet and see the post? They needed to use the fucking sirens. I agree, 100%. That's
Yeah,
a huge
well, because we're
wonder.
so dependent on this modern technology, and in a real world emergency, our modern technology fails immediately, right? Like the text messages and all that stuff. That stuff's not dependable. It really is not. But my prayers go out to all those people out there. It's a terrible
Absolutely.
tragedy.
Yeah.
And then also another thing too is that you know, if you for those of you guys who have airline miles, you can also donate your airline miles to I think all the airlines are taking them right now to get people off the island or to other parts of the other islands to help them recover. So feel free to donate if you don't have money but you got airline miles, feel free to donate your miles as well.
There's a lot to it. It's a tragedy. It really is a tragedy. But conspiracy theory wise, if 5 years from now we see that those are all resorts in that area, I might lend a little weight to that whole idea that maybe this was done intentionally.
Yeah, me too. Because I think the right thing to do in this situation is to help these people rebuild their homes.
Right.
Right. Because this is their life, right? And
They're sacred land, man.
we're talking about houses that have you're talking about this the oldest part of the island, right? So these houses have been in their family for generations. This is their home. This is generational homes. the right thing to do is to help them rebuild these homes and rebuild that community. Yeah, if this community becomes, Bill Gates' newest vacation home or a series of resorts, I'm going to find that absolutely vile and disgusting.
Yeah. Capitalizing off of the tragedy of thousands.
Yeah.
So, if you're traveling to Hawaii, be warned. Oahu is swamped severely. So they've given up. They've found 2,000 locations now, and they're still looking for more. But a lot of it is hotels, and they're trying to find like more permanent housing for them for the time being. But the islands are going to be a little out of whack for the foreseeable future. And not to mention on Oahu, there were more fires at the same time. Of course, I read about it, but a golf course out there, a very popular municipal golf course, burnt down because of this wildfire. So that's how I found out there were more fires on other islands. So there's something.
So the only
reflecting there.
casualty was the golf course?
No, but that's
Oh.
but that's what I got out of it because my
No,
mom went to
I was gonna say, because if it was just the golf course, then that's fine. But if people or a business got impacted, then
golf
then
course
prayers
is a
for them too.
business, motherfucker.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the building and shit. I mean, if it was just like the 18th hole or something like that, like okay, whatever, they'll recover.
If it was one hole, you're okay with it. But
yeah, that'll be fine.
Burn the building or all the holes. Well, they can't do business if they burned any of the holes.
I'm sure they got insurance.
Greg.
I'm just pointing out that you picked out the one fire story because it happened on a golf course. That's all.
Exactly. No, 100%. That's exactly what happened. My mind saw that and it stuck in my brain like, oh no.
Hey, so speaking or transitioning over to another sports story that kind of made the news. So
funny because I'm just bringing that up for you.
Oh,
I
do you want to?
What is it?
Go ahead. Yeah, well, there we go. So Michael Oher, so he was famously known from the movie The Blind Side, where he was a kid, I believe. It was Mississippi, right? Mississippi or Tennessee, I can't remember. But anyway, had a rough childhood growing up. And basically what he thought was that he was adopted by this pretty wealthy family in, I believe, Tennessee. And then this whole time he thought that they adopted him, right? And he got into football. He became a guard, actually made it to the NFL, played a few years in the NFL. Sandra Bullock starred in the movie about his life called The Blind Side. So he, movie was a hit. Dude had his, I don't think he's a Hall of Fame player, but I mean, he played in the NFL for a few years, retired, and now is going public saying that the family that adopted him actually did not adopt him and instead signed him up for a conservatorship. And he did not see any of the profits from the Blind Side film and is now suing them in court. And like additional news that came out today was that I guess one of the family lawyers said that he had reached out to them to say that if they did not give him $15 million, then he was going to take this story public.
Right.
How much money did they make from that movie?
Oh, it had to have been.
It made a shit ton. That was.
Well, a movie made a ton of money, but how much did they?
Sandra Bullock got an Oscar off of it.
Yeah, but that
You're
doesn't.
not answering his question.
How much the
but
family?
no, I mean I don't know, but I know everybody in that family got royalties from it except for him.
Okay.
I don't know what the
Because
article
they
actually
signed it
says
into a
what the profits were of.
conservatorship.
I don't know enough about this story at all.
There you go. So, according to the legal filing, the movie paid the toys each $225,000 plus 2.5% of the film's defined net proceeds. So, that's a lot of money each. So that's $500,000.
Yeah, but he's asking for $15 million.
How much?
That's
do
a
you think
lot
they made
more
off
than that.
film net proceeds. How much did The Blind Side make? I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I'll look that up.
So I mean, but either way, so he thinks that this family,
$300
adopted
million.
him.
Okay.
Wow,
No,
a lot of money.
that's a lot of money.
And that was back in when it came out too. When did it come out?
That's not including the residuals and replays.
2004, 2005, somewhere in
Long
there.
time ago.
So I mean, that was 300 mil in that time, right?
2009.
But I mean, but here's the thing: is that it was a movie about his life story, right? And he
Well,
saw no profits of it.
You want to know
So
the best
here-
part about all that just now, though? Hold on, I'm sorry. Is while it says that they each got 225,000 plus 2.5% of the film's proceeds, right above that, it says a film that earned more than $300 million.
so
I just want to point this out.
so with
Good
that
job,
amount
Lee.
of money, that means they each
They
they
were
each- so
entitled
they
to
each got
2.5%.
so they that 2.5% is 7.5 million each. So that means this guy is asking for all the profit that they made
Off the
um,
story.
off this story. And you got to think that they got taxed on it, right? So they took home half that money. So he's asking for them to pay him essentially
Don't forget,
twice
she wrote
the
a
amount of money that
book,
they made.
They had the tour. They made a lot of money. Off
So-
the story.
They each
And-
earned about $7,950,000.
And it was a
as well.
conservatorship, so that's the thing that hurt him too, is that he didn't even know that he wasn't officially adopted until well after the NFL.
but-
And when he had a lawyer look into it, the lawyer was like, "No, dude, you weren't adopted. So because you weren't adopted, you're not entitled to any of the rights of the family because you weren't adopted. Instead, they signed you up for a conservatorship and basically can do whatever you want or whatever they want because you signed your rights away to their conservatorship."
I never saw the movie, so I
It's
don't.
actually a pretty good movie.
And I heard it was a good movie. So why did the family need to adopt him, quote unquote, in the first place? What was going on in his life that he needed these people to come in and help
So
him?
he
You
had a
like to
rough
read
child.
books, right? There's
What's
a
that?
book about this. The movie's based on a book called The Blind Side.
Okay,
I don't know the story because
I don't know. Yeah, so
the book.
why did he need their help?
So it wasn't that it was that he was coming up, I guess, in the ghetto, right? Had a rough family life. And then I guess in school, he was close friends with, I think, their son. And so he would like stay over at their house, and, the family liked him so much that they decided to adopt him. And it kind of leads you to believe too, that because he had talent and they knew that he was going to go to college, that might have also been a thing. Now, the movie kind of makes it claim that like Sandra Bullock taught him football, which I don't know how true that is or not, but yeah, it's
Well,
I
I
can't
would-
really
I
speak
would
more to
imagine-
that. That's just kind of what I remember from the movie.
Possibly with again, I haven't seen the movie, but maybe that family did teach him discipline to keep his mind on the game, right? That would make more sense as to what they would provide him, right?
Well, and they
If-
provided him stable income.
and
you know.
is he getting into trouble at this time?
No,
So he's not getting any trouble. Why would his parents agree to him living with this family?
because they were shitty parents. I think he was actually neglected. I don't think he had both parents. I think he only had one of them. I can't remember of which, but I think they were like drug addicts and, neglect and, all those horrible things. And,
Okay. And
um,
so did he help write the book?
I don't know.
Because if he didn't help write the book, then that's their intellectual property, right? I mean,
Well,
that's the
part of the
argument
court-
that I would
either.
make.
Part of the
Huh?
court case too is to take him off the conservatorship or take them off the conservatorship. So that's also a part of it.
Yeah, I
So-
mean,
So it's definitely an ugly story because like the thing up until now is that everybody saw this as a feel good story, right? I mean, this guy was also even at like the ESPYs, which is like the sports awards that, is hosted by ESPN. Sharing, and multiple like speaking engagements, like giving kudos to his family and love, and they're all up on stage and, everything else. And then come to find out now that it was, supposedly all a lie, right?
Well,
That kind of sucks.
so what's his name? Michael Orr.
Yeah.
So I would say that this is possibly a vast miscalculation by him, because he could make a ton of money on speaking engagements, right? A ton of money. If this is about money, then he could make that money easily on speaking engagements. And I
And
don't
it does-
understand why he's not doing that.
And it does kind of like say, well, why is he doing it now? Well, I mean, he had his own money from the NFL. Obviously, maybe that money's drying up. Who
Right.
knows?
Yeah.
Or maybe he actually just found out about it and it was pissed and wanted to take action in the courts. Who knows? It's kind of fucked up to take advantage of a kid saying that, and this is all allegedly, by the way, that, you know, you're going to get adopted by this stable, loving family who cares and loves for you, and then come to find out they never adopted you, but instead, you know, manipulated you into signing your rights away through a conservatorship.
But the money he made in the NFL didn't go to them.
I don't
Right.
think so. No.
And so I wonder what that agreement entailed.
Yeah.
Right. So
I don't
because
know.
it could have just been a legal agreement to protect their assets, right? Because they were afraid of a situation like this arising. Because you are
Right.
taking an unknown child into your home, and you don't know what they're capable of. Truly, you don't, right? Like, oh, sure, they're friends with my son, but do you really know that kid? So it
But
is a
why would
possibility.
you? But if that was true, then why would you do the conservatorship on him? Right? Like, I get it if they want to take legal protections for themselves, right?
Right.
Like their property and stuff like that. But why control his life? Right?
But it
Like,
doesn't seem like they did. Once he made it into the NFL, he made his money, right? Is there any claim that they took his NFL money?
I don't know. I don't think so. But
Yeah.
I mean, he
So
still didn't get. But nobody would have known who he was if it wasn't for the book and the movie and all that.
so you're saying that he might not have had the NFL career without the book and the movie?
It's possible, or it had stayed in the NFL as long as he did.
Well, then
Because the movie came out right around the time, like, I think he was in the NFL for like a season or two, right around the time that the movie came out. If
Okay.
I'm, I could be wrong on that, but I think it was around that, because I remember that at the end of the movie, they did a thing like on him, like they showed the real him, and he was in like his Baltimore Ravens jersey,
Okay.
and I think it was right around. So I think he was still playing ball, right? I mean, but I mean, who wouldn't want to see that movie and instantly fall in love with the guy? And then, the NFL is a brutal fucking game, right? I mean, people get traded all the time and released and cut all the time, especially guards, right? I mean, this isn't like a famous quarterback or a running back. This is a dude protecting the quarterback, which is another thing that they made it all big in the movie. Was like, he was a big dude that just, he was always protecting people, right? And so they were like, oh well, we'll make you left guard, protect the quarterback's blind side, and go from there. But yeah, it could have played a role in his
Well,
success and staying in.
Because the cynic in me also says that these parents probably invested in him so much because he did have a chance in the NFL,
Right.
right? Because
That's what I'm thinking too.
So you do have this guy who has a potential to get in the NFL and make millions of dollars, right? And so most people, I want to say, won't just do that out of the kindness of their heart. They're like, they don't see a kid and they're like, hey, I just want to make sure that he makes the most of his life, right? A lot of people are kind of, what's in it for me?
Right.
Right. And so maybe they did look at it that way. And they thought, if we take this kid in, maybe he'll take care of us.
But shame on them too. That's totally taking advantage of him though, right? I mean, that's not loving and supporting him. I mean, that's
the cynic in me. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what happened, right?
But it's
the
also
other side of the story is that love and that support that they did give to him, even if it was artificial, might have actually spurred his career into the NFL. It might have given him the discipline and the focus that he needed to make it in the NFL. And then not only that, the book that they released around this story actually increased his profile to the level that his career was extended. And so it's mutually
But it also
beneficial.
increased their profile too.
Right, right. So, but that's mutually beneficial, right, for
Yeah.
both parties. So in that situation, if both parties mutually benefited from it, why come after the parents? Because prior to this, did he have anything negative to say about them?
No. He had good ties with them all the way through and through until he found out that he wasn't adopted by them. So I'm thinking, like, to him, right, he's probably seeing this as, and I don't know him, right? So what the fuck do I know?
Right.
But I'm assuming that it maybe a little bit he feels betrayed, right? Like he thinks that, okay, this family says that they've cared and loved him for decades, right? And then kind of find out, well, no, they didn't, because they didn't even never want to adopt me. And instead, they just want the conservatorship. And then on top of that, they don't give me any royalties from my life story.
Well,
right?
here's
so I could see where he's betrayed by that.
It's also their life story, to be fair to them. And what I would want to hear,
but nah, a little bit. It's mostly about him.
here's what I would want to see to kind of get to the truth of this whole situation: is did Michael Orr get into financial trouble? Right? Did he burn through that NFL money? And now he's
Right.
upset and he wants to make some cash on the side. Now, when he gets into financial trouble and he's not the big NFL star, are these two parents still taking care of him? Are they still reaching out to him? Are they still opening their house to him? Are they still sending him money? Are they still
Oh, he's
treating
broke
him?
off all contact with them.
Well, no, I'm prior to this right now. Okay,
Oh.
so prior to him cutting off contact, if he went through any kind of financial hardship, did they make an effort to assist him? Right? Here's a plan to get you back on your feet. Here's a financial plan. Here we can invest money so then you can get back on your feet. Maybe we can send you over on this book tour, this speaking tour to get you back on your feet. If they were making loving and sincere efforts to help him get back on his feet, assuming that he got in any kind of financial trouble, then I think that dismisses them in this situation. Now, if he got to the point where he's making money and then he loses that money and then they cut off ties, they're like, oh, you know what? You are not beneficial to us anymore. We're not making any money off of you. There's no potential to make money off of you. And then they quit talking to him. Then I think that proves intent that all along they took him into that house so then they could make money off of him when he was younger. I think really the actions here near the end are what's going to prove what the intent at the beginning was. Was
Now,
it truly to
let's
help this
assume-
kid out, or was it because they thought he could make money in the NFL?
So here's also the other angle, right? Like, we don't know his financial status. He may be financially good, right? We don't know. Maybe he just wants to get what's due to him, which is money off of his life story.
But
right?
is it due to him? That's the question.
Huh?
That's the question.
Yeah. So, dude, if I made a book about you,
Right,
and made a movie about you, but didn't pay you for it at all, would you be
Oh,
pissed off at that?
I would be
Regardless of your
very-
financial situation, regardless of my financial situation,
right.
would
I
you
would
not be pissed?
I would be mad at you. I would be very mad at you. I would.
Yeah. And I
Um,
think that's
but-
what's going on here.
but that doesn't mean I'm so Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa, right? Does Mona Lisa deserve the dividends from that painting?
Some of them.
Does but she deserves
Well,
she
back when-
deserves an investment, right?
But that
So
was before
if you-
copyright
but-
laws and
but
all
okay,
that
but
stuff
an artist,
too.
an
But-
artist pays a model to come in, he draws that model, right? And then that painting takes off, right? That's his art.
But
his,
that's the other
that-
thing
that
too,
is-
is
that
that
is the
you're
artist-
getting
hold on, hold on.
permission.
that
Hold
is
on,
the
you're getting
artist's-
permission from that model.
Okay.
You didn't give them permission because they had the conservatorship.
Okay, I paint a painting of France next to the Eiffel Tower, and you happen to be standing in the picture, and I paint your likeness in my painting, and I don't give you any money. Are you entitled to that money? If I take a picture on social media,
So, but
if I take
so
if I post a picture that goes viral, are you entitled to that money? In situations of war, when we have these National Geographic photographers who take these photographs, are those soldiers and those children entitled to that money and the monies that these photographers make?
So there's okay. You asked me like 4 different things.
Well,
But
it's all different examples of the same.
So the
question.
thing is, so if you're drawing something or taking a photo of me and I'm just like a passerby, then no, right? But that's different than doing my whole life story, right? And you brought up the military. The military has no rights, right? Like, I mean, if the command says that they can do it, then they can do it, and then that's it. You have no rights. Now, when you get out, you do, but
Okay.
not while you're serving, right?
Okay.
but-
Okay, you're a firefighter
but-
on 9/11.
but with
You're a
this
firefighter
dude-
on 9/11. Do you deserve money if somebody takes a picture of you?
Okay,
And
a
they make money
picture
off
and
that
your
picture.
whole life. This is his whole life story, dude. This isn't one
Right.
picture.
No, I'm understanding that.
This isn't one snapshot in time. This is
Okay.
his whole life story, bro.
So if a reporter writes an article about Donald Trump or Joe Biden and makes money off that article, does Joe Biden or Donald Trump deserve money off that article?
It depends on what the article is. If it's a news story, no, because it's the news, right? But if they're
Okay.
doing something like a autobiography or whatever, then yes, and that's why people have other people write books about them and they get royalties from that story.
I'm just making a counter argument there.
No, I got you. And there's just differences though between a quick snapshot or a quick story as opposed to, your whole life story. You know what I'm
But-
saying?
Well, it's not a whole life story. It's a
Well,
story.
it was no, because they showed him from a kid all the way to the NFL.
Okay.
It was just, I mean, Grant, is it every little thing? No, it's a 2-hour movie, right? But for the most part, it's his, at that time, a major part of his whole life story.
Okay. And so
You know,
when the movie came out and he's walking around promoting this movie,
He
why did he
didn't?
not bring? He
Well, I
didn't
don't think
promote
he
it.
did. I
I
don't know.
just want you guys to know that the entire conversation you're having, while absolutely thrilling in nature,
Is it?
Rick has been talking to Natalie Portman this entire time.
I've been
Oh.
texting this entire time.
So what are you talking to her about?
I can't talk about it.
Oh, you don't want to put her life story out there because you don't want to be
Mm.
liable.
She hasn't texted me back. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I've been sending texts like, "Hey, where's my money? Hey, where are you?"
Quit sending me your dick. I don't want to see that no more.
All right.
I don't,
So,
I
Lee,
don't-
what's the next story?
Bad.
So, oh man, there's so much that I want to talk about, but Duper will just go down a rabbit hole.
no, go ahead.
No, I don't want to talk about any of that.
No, I want to hear about it.
I don't
I
want to
wanna
talk
hear
about any of it.
There's no rabbit hole here.
There's so many.
Which one?
Do we have any Florida man stories?
I'm sure we could find one.
I'm just curious.
That's what you
never-
want to talk
never
about
hard.
is a story that you're not
Yeah.
aware of that you're just searching for on the
Yeah,
internet.
well, I'm trying to avoid the stories that I would talk about.
What story do you want to talk about?
I don't know, dude. Four Loco. Let's talk about Four Loco.
What is Four Loco?
It was an alcoholic drink. It was beverage.
Are you
Florida
okay?
man steals the ambulance from hospital, drives it into mud.
That's it.
Okay.
Naked Florida man humps tree, punches deputy.
Who's not been there before?
California man.
California man would be humping a lot other things than just a tree.
Florida man with the actual state of Florida tattooed on his head, literally on his forehead, calls 911 for a ride home. That was a story.
Ah, that goes back to our story we shared a couple episodes ago about why people call 911 for stupid shit.
I agree.
These stories aren't that fantastic.
I know.
Yeah, I know. You're batting 1,000, Rick.
I'm just throwing them out there. I was just trying to get us off that talk, so we're not going to talk about that, right?
I mean, you could have
We're
stopped
done.
us at any time
I
except
like
for
when
keeping
you guys
your head
go in a
down.
rant because I always hear like, "Oh, fucking
Yeah,
Rick and
it was a
Duper, oh,
discussion.
fucking Rick and Duper having goddamn discussions about and you know all that shit." I sang K-pop in our last episode. That may be after this episode. I just want to tease that right now. That there was a point where I sang K-pop.
We're such a mess now. We have no idea what order our episodes are released in.
This is
Like-
the best part about this format. It's like you don't know, and the
This-
listener doesn't know what the fuck is coming next. It's just gonna be a surprise every time. Like I get the feedback, right? I'll get some texts or whatever, and they'll be like, "Hey, da 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 da, I heard that," and I'm like, "What episode did what
Yeah.
just got released? I don't
Guys,
even know."
tune in next week when we do a deep dive into Plato's The Cave. Like,
Wait,
You don't know.
Plato's Decave?
The Cave, The Cave,
The Cave?
The Cave,
Da cave.
Da
The
Cave?
Cave.
Da bears.
I can't
The
say.
Bears.
I'm sorry, Greg.
Four.
Angels are not making the playoffs, but
Oh, no, they're not.
it's officially over. They went all in on Otani, and he is gone.
Not official.
It's
It's official.
It's not
It
officially
sucks.
over.
It sucks.
It's never over till it's
my
over.
God, they're getting railed right now by the Rangers.
They got railed by the Rangers yesterday, too, as the time of this recording.
And football's about to start up. Or maybe
Football has
football's
started.
already- Football has started. We're actually almost in
Preseason has
the
already
playoffs.
started.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Season's over. This is a November episode, and we're hitting the playoffs. But no, football's about to start up. Are you excited?
These guys act like they don't know what's going on, and they have the same access that I do when I upload all this stuff. And they
I
have
am-
the app that shows everything, and yet they act surprised, like I don't know what's going on. You guys,
I'm super
awesome.
excited for the NFL season.
Are you?
Yeah, I think the Supersonics have a real shot at it.
Yeah, you don't watch sports anymore. I don't know what happened to you.
Yeah. Super Bowl in Vegas, though, dude. You
Oh,
going?
dude, that's a nightmare. No, I'm not going. Why would I go to that?
Why not support your home Allegiant Stadium Super Bowl?
I've not even been to Allegiant Stadium.
I've been there for a tour. I haven't been there for a game.
I've not been there.
I actually
Pretty
want to
cool.
go to the last Pac-12 championship. I was talking about this with co-host of the other pod, the sports pod. Take warning.
You want to go to what? The
Well, because the Pac-12 doesn't exist after the season.
Okay.
So it'd be kind of cool to go to the last Pac-12 championship. It's at Allegiant Stadium. That's why
Who's gonna be in it? Like,
we don't know that.
The college football season has not started yet.
Yeah, but
oh,
you know, the best two college
Still got a couple
teams
weeks.
in the Pac-12 are going to be playing there.
how many teams are in the Pac-12?
I don't know. Maybe 11. Could be 11.
Pac-12 means 12 teams
I'm
too.
gonna I'll text Natalie.
Pac-12 is 12 teams,
Yes.
Yes.
So like Big
But-
10, 10
but
teams.
but it's being
Or Big
dissolved. So
12,
there's
12
like
teams.
no
Big 18
teams
now.
Is there no teams in the Pac-12 or is there
So,
12 teams?
There's gonna be 4 teams, and they're all like nobodies. Like the
Who's
lowest.
nobody?
God, why do you put me on the spot like that?
And then
Arizona,
I-
Arizona State.
I would question if they're nobodies. Why were they even in the Pac-12 anyway? If the Pac-12 is so
Because they're on the Pacific Coast. They're still Division 1 teams.
Basically, the teams of the Pac-12 are joining other conferences.
All the schools went to like the Big 10 or not the SEC, but they're mostly the Big 10 because of the money. There's more money, and the problem was the Pac-12 wasn't getting a proper TV deal to make enough money for these schools, because the NIL has kind of decimated how schools make money and what they have to pay out. So they're trying to make more for themselves. So they're looking for big TV deals, and Big 12 said, "Hey, this is what's going to happen." You know. So there's 4 left. It's Cal, Stanford, Oregon State, and Washington State. None of them are that great. They're going to wind up in like Mountain West or something.
I have another
That's what's gonna
sports story. You guys want to talk about another sports story?
Yeah, we can do that.
Are you guys ready? So,
Yeah,
according to the New York Post, there is a group called NAGA, NAGA, the Native American Guardians Association, and they have over 90,000 signatures on a petition trying to bring back the name the Washington Redskins.
It's about fucking time.
What? So you're in on this, huh?
Fuck
You
yeah.
want them back?
Fuck yeah.
Hmm.
Bring the Redskins back. Fuck it. Commanders is stupid. Everybody knows them as the Washington Redskins. I think we're past that area where, I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't think this is something that everybody should be fretting over, right? I've talked to you about that. Don't fret over shit that doesn't affect you. I don't think there's any tribal nation out there that's like, ooh, he said Redskin.
I mean, there might be one, but there's not. I don't think it's a majority thing, right? Like, if they took away the fighting Irish, I would. I'm not Irish. I'm more Scottish and German, but like, I'd be sad to see that go.
You know, yeah. Well, for any reason, any legitimate, you know, like there's just no legitimate reason to do this. I can see if it's like super racist or something. And
Yeah.
Redskin, is that considered like that derogatory of a term?
It became one.
It became one, but was it when it was created?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I
I
couldn't
thought the
tell you.
history of that team too, and I got to look it up. But I thought the history of
'Cause-
that team was that they used the local reservation, like the folks there, the Native Americans there. They helped name that team. And they said,
Yeah,
just like the Cleveland Indians. Well, the Indians was actually one that they everybody agreed like they're Native Americans. Like we can't say that anymore. So I get that one, but the Redskins.
But in the so
Braves,
that one
nobody's
is
saying anything
one.
about the Atlanta Braves.
The Indians used to they used to be a term that you could use, and then it became a slur. So that one's kind of questionable too. It really is. That's like saying like the Negro Leagues, like we can't call it the Negro Leagues anymore. Like it's like rewriting the history of the sport.
No, you can still say the Negro Leagues.
Oh, you can still say it, but imagine if you took that away. Like I don't think you should be able to take that away. You shouldn't take that away. That
No,
was
you have
their
to
league,
identify it
right?
for the period of time. it
And
is.
there's a lot of history there. I think tradition matters. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of taking away names or renaming stuff just because because Rick and Natalie Portman got upset and offended.
You know, you don't need to talk about our personal life. It's just it is what it is.
I mean, they got to be very careful with that women's NHL league not to come up with any offensive names either.
Exactly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Greg, you got anything else for us?
No, man, good show. You know, I was expecting you to give more feedback on that Michael Orr story, and you kind of like zoned out, which was cool. But anyway, email us at info@takewarning.network. Appreciate y'all.
I love
Hit us
that you
up on
called me
social
out.
media with your thoughts. I'll put We also have interesting polls on Spotify if you listen to us there. So feel free to answer those polls, give us your feedback. We love you all. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. We also got episodes on YouTube, so check that out as well. And that's all I have.
Okay. You're welcome for this quality take warning content. Like and subscribe on your favorite podcast provider, rate us wherever you can, and always share this fine product. Spread it like herpes in the 90s.